Hello, this is Mr. Agbamu Idanogrene. You are welcome to today's class, Thursday, 5th of February, 2026. So you are welcome from our midterm test. So I hope the test went well yesterday. Though I'm not through marking the test, by God's grace, tomorrow, Friday, I should be through marking it. So I will bring your results. Then after bringing the result of the test, I will also do a video like this and post the correction of the test. So let's take note of that. All right, today we are looking at area and perimeter of parallelogram. So we have done area and perimeter of a square and rectangle. So let's study parallelogram. Before I go to the explanation of the formula for parallelogram for area and perimeter parallelogram, let me show us this applet so that you understand how parallelogram actually came into existence. Yes, so this is a popular applet I always use in class, which is the GeoGebra Classic software. Yes, so let me make a polygon. Let me draw a rectangle on this place. Okay, so this is a rectangle. All right. Now, with this rectangle, I want us to observe something. We already know that the longer side of a rectangle, which is this side, is the length. Then this shorter side is the breadth. Now, if I click on one part of this rectangle, let's say this top side, I slant it like this. You can see what is being formed. So this is a parallelogram. So I'll form a parallelogram now. So parallelogram is formed by simply moving the top of a rectangle. Either you move it to left like this or you move it to right like this. So this is a parallelogram. That is why parallelogram and rectangle they have similar properties. Opposite side are equal and parallel. You see, opposite side are equal and parallel. They have similar properties. Just take note of that. But when we come to parallelogram, this place, let me take my pen. This place we call length in rectangle, we call it base in parallelogram. This place we call length is base in parallelogram. Then this place, this place was the breadth in rectangle when it was standing. But for parallelogram, we don't need there. What we need in parallelogram is the height that comes from this top down to this place. And that height is always 90 degrees to this base. So this line that comes from this top to this base must always be 90 degrees. And that is what we call the height. So the height of a parallelogram is the distance from this parallel side up and the parallel side down. These two parallel sides opposite each other. So this is the height of the parallelogram. So let's go back so that you see what I mean. If I click on this place, if I click on this top now, let me slide it back. You see, as I'm slanting it back, the height is not changing, the height remains the same. You see, when it's now a rectangle, this place I call H will now become breadth. Then this place I call B will now become length. But now, if I move it to an angle to form a parallelogram, something like this, you see now, this is now the height, this is now the breadth. Let me delete this one. You see another thing I would like to demonstrate for us. Okay, now if I get a point, let me put a point somewhere here. Let me do a perpendicular, see what I want to do. Just watch. Okay, let me get a segment from here to here. Okay, let me take away this one out. You see now, so this height, you see the height is uniform. You see I can click it and slant it across. As long as this parallelogram remains like this height keeps going in this order. So this height will not change. And based on the grid I use here, the height is 1, 2, 3, 4. So the height is 4. Then the base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the base is 7. So that means the area of this parallelogram is going to be 7 times 4, which is going to be 28. So if I click on area, I click it here, you will see it's giving me 28. But you can see why it's not perfect 28. If you see it's not touching this place, let me slant it to touch that point. And now that it's touching it, let me position it well. Okay, so approximately is 28. Let's just leave it like that because of time. So now this area will remain the same. Even if I click on this place, I slant it to a very low, you see the area will never change. You know why the area will never change? Is because the height cannot change. The height remains the same. From this top down to this top, they are the same. So that is why the area still remains 28.4. You can see and 14, it remains the same. Even if I twist it to the other side, see, it still remains the same. If I click this point, the height will come back to the height is there. As long as this is the height is not changing. Anywhere this one slant to, this area will not change. It will remain 28.4. This is one major property of parallelogram. I just want us to observe this and play around with it. So don't forget the same applet I sent to us in our first week when we started, to be week 4 when we started this topic. You can still use the applet to demonstrate this at home, play around with it, understand it in your own way so that you understand mathematics better instead of memorizing formulas. So with this knowledge now, you will see that the area of a trapezium, the area of a parallelogram is just this height multiplied by this base. So take note of that. Let's go to our normal class, our slide, and end our lesson. So that is that. Take note of that. So with the objective of today's class, you can see that you can get the formula for calculating area and perimeter of parallelogram. Then we can solve simple example. So this is the sketch, and this is what we copied into our note. So you can see a parallelogram, opposite side are equal and parallel, opposite side are equal and parallel. Then the height is always from the top down to the base, and it's always 90 degrees to the base. The height must be 90 degrees to the base. So this slant height is not 90 degrees. Therefore, we cannot call it a height. So that is that. So the area of parallelogram is base times height. So take note of this formula, which is B times H. So if the base here is B, so if I call base B and I call height H, don't forget that. So base times height is the area of the parallelogram. Now, the first side, I can call this place L. I can call this place L. You know, perimeter is the distance surrounding it. So since opposite sides are equal and parallel, I decide to call here L. I decide to call here L. So this side is B because it's equal to this base. So this is B, this is B. So opposite sides are equal and parallel. So therefore, if I want to get the perimeter of parallelogram, it's similar to that of a rectangle. Just add all the sides, which is L plus L, B plus B. So you just know the length of all the sides, add them together. It will give you the perimeter of a parallelogram. So that's why I use L plus L plus B plus B. So take note of that. So this we move to our first example for the class. So example 1 is a very simple one. It said the base of a parallelogram is 15 centimeters. So you already know your sketch of a parallelogram. If I sketch a parallelogram like this, something like this, don't forget this side must be parallel to this side. That's one beauty of parallelogram. Then the height must go straight. It must be 90 degrees to the base. So if this is my parallelogram, they said the base is 15. So I've already showed us where the base is. So this is the base. So this is base is equal to this side 15, 15. Then the height of this parallelogram is 8. So this is the height 8. So the length that comes from this top to this place, that is 90 degrees to the base. So and both of them are in centimeter. Always take note of your unit, centimeter. So number 1 now, without wasting time, remember your formula now. Area is, we say base times height. So B times H. So area will now be equal to what? Just times it. 15 times 8. So that is your answer. It's a very simple mathematics question. Area of a parallelogram is just simply base times height. And that is 15 times 8 will give us 1 what now? Let's see. Okay, so 15 times 8 will give us 120. And since area is cm squared, don't forget to write it centimeter raised to power 2. That is example 1. Then example 2 says a parallelogram has two adjacent sides, 10 and 6. So you know what adjacent means? Let me sketch it on this side. So if this is my parallelogram, something like this. So if this is my parallelogram, remember opposite sides are parallel and equal. Opposite sides are parallel and equal. So always put this arrow to understand, to show the parallel side. So adjacent means if this side is 6, for example, then this side should be 10. So these are the adjacent sides. The two sides just the lines facing each other side by side like this, they are what we call adjacent. Like this side and this side, they are adjacent side. Then this side and this side, the adjacent side. So if this is 10, if this side is 10, so this side is going to be 6. So these are adjacent sides, 6, 6, 10, 10. So if we see a question like this that say parallel side of a parallelogram has two adjacent sides, 10 and 6, it's telling you that the two sides on this side, they are, one is 10, one is 6. That's what adjacent. So if we know the adjacent side of parallelogram, how do we find the perimeter? You should know how to do this. We say perimeter is the distance surrounding the shape. So that would be 6 plus 6. So just add all the length around. 6 plus 6 plus 10 plus 10. Or you use the formula for area or perimeter of a rectangle. I told you rectangle and parallelogram are similar. So if you add 6 plus 6, it give us 12. Then 10 plus 10, it give us 20. 20 plus 12, this should give us 32. So the perimeter of this question is 32 centimeter. So this is the answer, and that is the solution to these two simple examples we did in class today. So that is all for today's lesson. So this is our class work. So I've already explained this work in class. Though I've not marked for some classes, I've not marked some people's own. So let me pause. I will not do the correction now. Before tomorrow's lesson, I'll do the correction of this classwork and correction of this assignment. But it's not a difficult one. The perimeter of a parallelogram is 40. So you already know your perimeter. You should be able to find the other side, which is the length. Say one side is 12 cm, find the length of the other side. So if one is 12, you know that parallelogram opposite side are equal. So you have 12 plus 12 plus the other two sides you don't know. You can just use L plus L. Then you can solve the question, solve the equation. Then this one, the parallelogram has base of 12 and a height of 2. So this one is simple. So just multiplication, base times height. Then for the assignment, the perimeter of a parallelogram, which is 50 cm, perimeter is 50, then one side is 10, you should be able to find the length. So it's similar to the other class work. This one is also easy. Then a parallelogram has an area of 96 cm square. So you know your area and the base is 12, so find the height. So this one is also simple equation you are solving. So just do this assignment and this class work. That is all. Tomorrow before the class, I will explain the correction and mark and correct those that will make any mistake. So that is all for today's lesson, area and perimeter of parallelogram. So take note of everything, take note of the applet I showed us to help you to understand it very well. Practice it on your own at home, and that is that. Thank you for watching this video. Do have a nice day.